If this isn't the most overpowered team of Avengers, then I don't know what is. And you know what? This is really awesome. So we knew for quite some time now that Marvel Legacy will be playing around with the Avengers mythos. And by that they will be introducing a new set of Avengers that existed long before the original lineup. And this new set of Avengers will be known as Avengers 1 million BC, or what I would call them as the Ancient Avengers. And now we have our first official look at the entire team and what they're going to look like. So let's go over them one by one. So let's start with who I'm assuming is the leader of this team, Odin. And already you can tell that this is going to be a completely different version of Odin in comparison to how we usually see him in modern day. Because this Odin is portrayed as more of this broken man who clearly isn't as powerful as he is today. Now what's interesting is the fact that Odin has his own variation of Mjolnir, and I'm inclined to believe that this isn't the same one that Thor has, because the hammer that Odin has in this picture looks very broken. And seeing as how this series will take place many generations before modern day, this is the perfect time to portray Odin as more of this brutal and broken man, which is a pretty fresh take for the character. Now the next character who I find to be the most interesting member from the entire team is of course Agamotto himself. Now as far as I'm aware, Agamotto himself hasn't appeared physically in the Marvel Comics, if at all, so it's pretty interesting to see that he does take on a more physical form. Seeing as how Agamotto is often seen as a physical embodiment of magic itself to a degree. Now Agamotto in his more mortal body in this picture is very interesting to me because to a degree he does look like Doctor Strange. Because not only does Agamotto does have his own Eye of Agamotto around his neck, but also his robe somewhat resembles the Cloak of Levitation. But either way, it is pretty interesting to see Agamotto in this Avengers lineup, and I think his design is very kick-ass. Next we have who I'm going to assume is the very first mortal to ever become the avatar for the Phoenix Force. Now much like most of these legacy characters on this team, we have no idea about the identity for the Phoenix, despite the fact that this Phoenix will be a completely new character. Now in terms of costumes, this is very interesting for the Phoenix because near enough every avatars for the Phoenix usually wear the traditional outfit, while this incarnation of the Phoenix has more of a tribal thing going on, which is very fitting for the timeline that this story will be based around. And at first glance, looking at this picture, it seems like this incarnation of the Phoenix will be in full control, which is no easy thing to control considering how powerful the Phoenix Force really is. But either way, I am very interested about this incarnation of the Phoenix. And speaking of legacy characters, the next character on this roster, we have the very first Black Panther, who has quite possibly the most unique take on a costume from this entire roster of Avengers. And I just love how this Black Panther legit is wearing Black Panther fur, which in a way reminds me of Manny. And it does make me question on how this Black Panther gets his abilities. And I have a feeling that it will be similar to Manny in that he has to devour a Black Panther in order to gain his powers. But what's even more interesting is that I don't think that vibranium has been discovered in 1 million BC in the Marvel Universe. So it'll be very interesting to see how different this Black Panther is in comparison to T'Challa. Now next we have the first incarnation of Iron Fist, who is actually a female, so there's some nice representation for females in this new set of Avengers. And this costume to me has the perfect blend of 1 million BC, as well as some Iron Fist flair added to the mix. Now there's no secret that the Iron Fist mantle has been around throughout many generations, and it is pretty cool that this version of Iron Fist still maintains the Iron Fist aura that they often generate. And now we get to a character who I'm not too familiar about, and that is of course Starbrand. Now I don't know too much about the character outside of the fact that whoever dons the mantle of Starbrand does have crazy amount of powers. And I think it's pretty cool that we have this incarnation of Starbrand to be this sort of caveman. And again, it is very fitting for 1 million BC, and it should be interesting to see where this character goes, despite the lack of knowledge that I have on the character. And saving the most insane for last, we have the first incarnation of the Ghost Rider, who rides on a fucking mammoth on fire. And if this isn't the best thing ever, then I don't know what is. Now what I find rather curious is that how did this Ghost Rider came to be? Because most times out of 10, Ghost Riders come from Mephisto. And I know Mephisto has existed in the Marvel timeline throughout many generations, however I'm not entirely sure if Mephisto would exist around this time period or not. or if they're gonna go with the more Robbie Reyes route, in which there's going to be some sort of spirit that possesses this incarnation of the Ghost Rider, that has no ties with Mephisto whatsoever. However, whatever case it may be, this Ghost Rider looks incredibly badass, and I cannot wait to see what he brings to the table. And overall, I am very happy with this lineup of Avengers, and this is exactly what I've wanted. Having a more ancient group of Avengers who are more mystical based. The overall designs are also really excellent, and I think that this is a great way to shake up the Marvel Universe in the right way. So what do you think of the Avengers 1 million BC, and who is your most anticipated character from this lineup? Comment below and share some thoughts. And as always, thank you guys for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. Take care and have a good one.